Inside Pompeii's hidden BR0THEL, the shocking truth about ancient pleasures at midnight. The air in Pompeii was thick with secrets, and few were as tantalizing as those surrounding its hidden brothel, where the cries of passion mingled with the whispers of long-buried sins. This wasn't just any ordinary senatorial building, it lurked in the shadows like an unspoken desire, waiting for the brave or foolish to unlock its terrifying allure. The walls spoke in vibrant frescoes, painting a picture so vivid you could almost feel the heat of the ancient bodies entwined in their spectral embrace. Each room, shrouded in an intoxicating blend of mystery and decadence, begged to reveal its sordid past. What drove the Romans to indulge so openly in their desires? Was it the promise of pleasure or the electric thrill of the forbidden? The narrow streets echoed with laughter, but beneath the revelry pulsed an undercurrent of fear of getting caught, fear of what one might uncover. The brothel, unmatched in its opulence, was adorned with representations of eroticism that made onlookers gasp, their breaths hitching, wonder overtaking logic. A pair of painted hands reaching tantalizingly from the wall left many questioning, what truly happened behind its doors? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the cobblestones, the secrets of Pompeii awaited under the cloak of night. How many souls had walked these empty streets, drawn like moths to a flame, not knowing what awaited them? Would anyone dare to tread the path that led to the heart of temptation? With every glance exchanged and every hushed word, tensions escalated. The thrill was palpable, a heavy fog of anticipation clinging to each passerby. Before the night deepened, outsiders gazed in awe at the ancient structure. What lies beyond? They murmured, their eyes wide with the knowing thrill of the unknown. And just as the festival of shadows seemed to settle, an echo of malicious laughter rang out hollow and chilling. What was behind the red curtains? What secrets were left to rot beneath the layers of Pompeii's ruins? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Tension peaked as an innocent soul stumbled upon the entrance, the faint sound of laughter creeping into the night like a dark omen. Heart racing, they pushed against the heavy door, the creaking sound reverberating into the stillness. What awaited on the other side? The promise of self-discovery or the plunge into chaos? As the door gaped open, an intoxicating aroma wafted out, sweet yet sinister, welcoming and threatening all at once. It drew the unsuspecting closer, blurring the line between curiosity and dread. Was there more to find in this hidden paradise? Or would they uncover horrors they were never meant to witness? A glimpse of the past or a damnation of the soul? The choice was just beginning to unfold. The heavy door creaked wider, revealing a dimly lit chamber buzzing with the low hum of whispered conversations and soft laughter. Each sound mingled with the heady scent that filled the air, a mix of perfume, sweat, and something darker. Stepping inside, the figure felt a shiver run down their spine, an electrifying pull that beckoned them deeper into the brothel's secrets. Flashes of color danced across painted walls, shadows flickering as oil lamps swayed gently. The frescoes, vivid and seductive, told tales of longing and lust, numerous scenes of lovers entwined in ardor, their expressions locked in ecstasy. Gasping softly, the figure moved further, entranced. Their heart pounded like a war drum, as if in sync with the very pulse of this hidden world. The glint of jeweled bracelets and the shimmer of silk skirts caught their eye, drawing them closer to a group gathered around a lavishly adorned couch. Laughter bubbled up, betraying the allure of the scene. A tantalizing invitation blended with an insidious warning. Unexpectedly, a woman with piercing eyes noticed the newcomer. She wore a smile that promised secrets and sins. "You found us," she said, her voice smooth like honey but laced with an edge that made the air taut. "Care for a taste of pleasure or perhaps a glimpse of our darker chambers?" There was challenge in her gaze, an unsettling mixture of seduction and danger. "Just looking," they stuttered, heart racing at the invitation. But words fell into the thick air of persuasion. The woman stepped closer, her intoxicating scent swirling about them, wrapping them in a cocoon of intrigue. "Looking can lead to more," she whispered, leaning in, the warmth of her breath causing a shudder. "You might find something remarkably unexpected here." Her laughter tinkled like distant bells, playful yet ominous. Before they could reply, a loud crash erupted from the back of the brothel, a discordant echo that shattered the haze of allure. The woman's expression shifted in an instant from playful to cautious. The laughter quieted, replaced by whispers of uncertainty. "What was that?" someone asked, their voice trembling. "Perhaps curious souls getting in over their heads," the woman replied, a hint of worry breaking through her facade. In the moment of electric pause, every eye turned toward the dark corridor leading deeper into the brothel, uncertain yet compelled by morbid curiosity. The air thickened with anticipation and terror. Gathering courage, the newcomer edged toward the sound, heart hammering. Each step felt like a dance upon the precipice of danger. The moment stretched, time itself seeming to hold its breath as shadows shifted along the walls. The tension became almost unbearable. Suddenly, a figure stumbled into view, eyes wide with fright, clothes disheveled. "Get out! You shouldn't be here." The warning rang out, panicked and desperate. But before anything could be done, the entrance shuttered closed with a resounding thud, like the snap of a trap. Fear twisted in the newcomer's gut. Were they now trapped in a web of ancient desires and modern horrors? Could they escape this tantalizing prison, or were they destined to uncover its darkest secrets? As the weight of the brothel's mysteries loomed heavily, one question burned brighter than the others: what really lay behind the shadows, just waiting for someone to stumble upon it? The newcomer barely had time to process the warning before the panicked figure darted past, merging back into the dark corridor, their footsteps echoing like frantic heartbeats against the stone floor. Shadows danced, twisting into grotesque shapes, feeding the dread that gripped the room. Silence wrapped itself around the gathered patrons, a thick, heavy blanket that stifled the sizzling atmosphere like foreshadowing thunder. "What do you mean you shouldn't be here?" The words slipped from the newcomer's lips, half-formed, shaky. Fear wrapped its icy fingers around their throat, choking anticipation. The woman with the piercing eyes stepped closer, her once flirtatious demeanor now shifting to something sharp, dangerous. "This place isn't for the uninvited. Your curiosity may lead to something unwelcome." Her gaze flickered toward the dark passage the frightened figure had disappeared into, a blend of intrigue and apprehension washing over her features. Suddenly, the room exploded back to life. Patrons resumed their conversations, albeit with a nervous edge. Laughter rang out again, but it was tinged with disbelief, the kind that buries itself deep in the gut. Faces turned towards the newcomer, some filled with sympathy, others lit with thrill as they whispered rumors of the brothel's secrets. "What lies beyond that corridor?" the newcomer questioned, unsteady yet compelled by an unseen force. They were entranced, as if an invisible thread pulled them closer to the very heart of danger. A voice, smooth yet chilling, floated across the room. "Oh, that's where the real magic happens," a stout man with a wine-stained grin declared. "But only if you're willing to pay the price. Not all pleasures come without a cost." The man leaned in, eyes gleaming. "Some don't make it back," he murmured, the atmosphere thickening with barely concealed excitement. The air practically vibrated with intrigue and fear. A shiver cascaded down the newcomer's spine. What secrecy and malevolence lay waiting just beyond reach? But curiosity, that wicked friend, sparked a rebellion against common sense. Ignoring the knot tightening in their stomach, they turned, facing the inky darkness of the corridor. With resolve, they stepped closer, heart pounding faster than they thought possible. Just as they crossed the threshold, the woman caught their arm, the grip fierce yet electric. "Are you sure you really want to go in there? The glamour fades quickly, and sometimes it reveals more than just pleasure." Her eyes shimmered with warning and something else, something deeper, the weight of experiences tasted but never shared. I have to know. The confidence in their voice surprised even them. Blackness loomed ahead, swallowing sound and light. With one last gaze at the gathered crowd, the newcomer stepped forward, leaving the flirtatious laughter and scented air behind. Swallowed by darkness, they ventured into the unknown, heart racing wildly, mixing excitement with fear. As the darkness enveloped them, soft footsteps echoed behind. Someone was following. Fear twisted in their gut again. Was it the panicked figure returning, or something far more sinister? And then came a sound, soft yet unmistakable. A whisper. "You shouldn't have come." Chills ran down the newcomer's spine, freezing their breath, as the echo of that voice faded into silence. The air thickened, and shadows crept closer. What had they awakened? The corridor seemed to pulse around them, a heartbeat of secrets yearning to be unveiled. In this game of desire and dread, where would the next turn lead? As the darkness pressed in, one thing became chillingly clear: escape was not just a matter of stepping back. What were those shadows waiting for? Were they mere echoes of fantasies or harbingers of untold horrors? The air was suffocating, dense with the scent of damp stone and something else, something like burnt offerings and fleeting desires. The corridor stretched endlessly ahead, the faint light from the brothel flickering like a dying flame behind them. A shiver coursed through the newcomer, as if the darkness itself had reached out, brushing against their skin with icy fingers. Then came the whisper again, dripping with intent. "You shouldn't have come." Every instinct screamed to turn back, to flee into the safety of the crowded room filled with laughter and mirth. But those memories seemed distant, like a fading photograph. Instead, something deeper pulled them further into the shadows, a magnetic force of curiosity and fear. A soft rustle broke the weighty silence, and the newcomer froze, heart pounding loud enough to drown out reason. Had they entered a trap? Shadows shifted, morphing into shapes that clawed at the edge of their vision. Nightmares lurked just beyond the veil of reality. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed, drawing closer, firm and deliberate. A figure emerged from the darkness, clothed in an ethereal garment that glimmered like moonlight caught in a spider's web. It was a woman with an elegant silhouette, her face cast in shadow, obscuring her expression. The newcomer felt a mix of horror and allure. Who was this specter, dancing so gracefully in the realm of nightmares? "You want to know what lies beyond," she said, her voice a silken caress that threatened to ensnare. "But the question remains, what are you willing to sacrifice?" Before the newcomer could respond, the woman stepped closer. The air crackled with an electric charge, each word quaking the ground beneath their feet. "Pleasure comes at a price. Some come seeking indulgence, but many lose themselves, and never return." This was no ordinary brothel, no place of simple pleasures. Each cautious step brought more clarity to the dark truth, a world woven from whispers of ecstasy and despair. The shadows beckoned, promising secrets that could shatter or elevate. "What do you mean?" The newcomer stammered, heart racing like a caged bird fighting for freedom. The woman laughed softly, a sound that sent chills racing. "You're just a pawn in a game far over your head. This corridor leads to desires that can consume you whole, turning hope into ash." Their fear evolved into rage, ignited by a burning need to unravel the mystery. "What happened to the one who ran before me?" They pressed, breath hitching in their throat. "Did they lose themselves here?" A moment of silence hung heavy before the woman replied. "Some souls can't escape their fates, and the shadows thrive on such lost offerings." Condensation dripped down the stone walls, amplifying each heartbeat, each regretful breath. The newcomer felt the corridor shift ominously, like it was closing in. They turned their gaze back down the path, considering their options. "Leave, while you still can," the woman whispered again, more insistent this time. Yet intrigue intertwined with terror, creating a bond that refused to break. Backing away felt like surrendering to the very shadows chasing them. In that instant, the ground beneath began to tremble. Cracks appeared on the walls, and from the depths of the shadows surged broken specters, tormented souls grasping towards the newcomer with desolate eyes. They could feel the pull of forgotten desires, fear coursed through their veins, but even more potent was the allure of discovering the truth. A voice inside screamed for safety, yet destiny called louder. Then, with the shadows closing in, a heavy choice loomed like the darkness itself, to turn and run or to find out the fate that awaited them, a singular truth hidden behind the veil. But before they could decide, the echo of that haunting whisper took hold again, "You shouldn't have come." And just like that, the corridor flickered with the thickening of shadows, as those souls advanced, eager for the newcomer's next move. What awaited them at the end of the darkness? Was it freedom, or would they too become part of the consuming night? The shadows surged, reaching, clawing, and the newcomer felt a cold wave of terror wash over them. Breath quickened, the air became thick with desperation. They stepped back, barely able to keep their footing, as a darker shape coiled behind the woman. "Fight," she commanded, almost playfully. "Let us see if you're worth saving." Confusion wrapped itself around the newcomer like the darkness. With every instinct urging them to flee, they stood paralyzed. The spirits gathered, the tormented whispers growing louder, drowning out reason. Faces twisted in agony loomed close, begging for release, pleading for understanding, like a chorus of lost souls. "Know your desire," the woman cried, her voice a thunderous echo. "Only through understanding can you escape this snare." And there it was. The flicker of understanding. A burning question surfaced amidst the cries of chaos. What do you want from me?" they said, desperately scanning the spectral faces surrounding them. "Do you not see?" she said, stepping back, drawing closer to the shadowed figures. "We are all bound by our wishes, our regrets. Each of them has a story. Choose one, and perhaps, find your path to freedom." The newcomer's gaze darted from the woman to the specters. Each pair of eyes held a different depth of longing: a mother mourning her lost child, a lover seeking forgiveness, a betrayed friend left in the dark. "What if I choose wrong?" The question hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. "Then you shall weave your own tale of doom," she replied smoothly, objectivity lining her words. "Each choice is a thread that binds you to this place, eternally. You will become part of the linger much like I." The thought burned deep, striking at a core vulnerability. The newcomer clenched their fists, teeth gritted. "I cannot become one of you." Desperation turned to courage, an ember igniting within. "Very well," she said with a smirk, stepping aside. "But ponder long what haunts you most." Shadows twirled closer, filling their senses with regret and sorrow. Images flickered like distant memories, memories of a life burned into the newcomer's heart. In that swirling dark, love shattered, betrayal brewed, and choices haunted every corner. Do I face my demons? They felt the heat rise, the air grow dense with expectation. Or do I uncover the secret to escape? Whatever your heart desires, the woman promised, her silhouette softening as she swayed, will guide you. At that moment, panic and resolve collided within. The murmurs grew louder, each soul clawing at the boundaries of their anguish. Time spun wildly, every heartbeat echoing like a gavel on the judge's bench, sentencing them into clarity. I want to know, they rumbled, feeling the pull of curiosity entangle them. I want to confront the one who lies at the heart of this nightmare. With that proclamation, the darkness erupted. A wild roar surged through the corridor as the shadows melded together, forming a swirling vortex. The specters clutched at the newcomer, crying out as they were drawn toward the depths. Faces contorted in fear and rage melded into one as the air thickened, and the newcomer felt themselves lifting, spiraling toward a vast unknown. Suddenly, the woman's voice pierced through the chaos, smooth as silk yet sharp as glass. Then brace yourself, the truth is more terrifying than any shadow. The floor below began to fade, consumed by the shadows, leaving the newcomer teetering on a precipice where annihilation met awakening, and just then, a stunning revelation hung in the air. A figure, draped in shadow, emerged from the chaos. A face familiar yet shrouded in darkness, poised to reveal a story that could change everything. What did you hope to find? It called, the echo of a voice long buried stirring an unsettling nostalgia. The next step held the weight of the world. Would they step into the abyss, or would the truth finally be set free? The whirlwind of shadows swallowed the newcomer whole, the world around fading to an echo of nothingness. They fell, suspended in a void where sound, light, and time bled together. Just as suddenly, the air shifted, a pulse of energy surged, and they found themselves standing on solid ground. This place was a stark contrast to what had come before. Gone were the twisted forms of specters. Instead, a dim light flickered from nothingness, illuminating the scene ahead. It resembled a deserted alley, narrow and cramped, the cobblestone floor damp and glistening. The walls were aged, covered with a patina of mildew and shadows. Every brick felt alive, whispering secrets of the past. A shudder coursed through the newcomer's body as dread settled in. The familiar echo of the voice reverberated in their mind, "Brace yourself." Did they want to confront this hidden truth? Because there, at the far end of the alley, a flicker danced, growing brighter, revealing figures carved from darkness. "Step forward," one of them beckoned, their voice smooth and honeyed, a stark contrast to the bitter chill of the alley. "You sought the truth, didn't you? Here it lies, waiting." With heart racing, they hesitated, scanning the faces emerging from the shadows. One face stood out, recognizable yet steeped in a veil of gloom. The newcomer's breath hitched. Why are you here?" The figure shifted, the shadows swirling around them like a cloak. "I've always been near, watching, waiting. You were the one who left, remember?" Each word dripped with sorrow and accusation, the memories rushed back, the moments of betrayal, decisions forged in fire, and secrets that burned. "This is about the past, isn't it?" "It's more than that," the figure replied, stepping forward. They seemed to absorb the light, every angle contorting slowly, revealing the truth buried in their essence. "You want to confront me? You need to confront yourself." The alchemy of fear and familiarity twisted in their gut, pulling tight. "I thought you were gone." A bitter chuckle echoed down the alley. "Gone? Nothing ever really disappears. It hides, festers, waits for you to find it. Just like now." Shadows pressed in, surrounding them, the air becoming electric. "Tell me," they shouted, desperation breaking through the surface. "What happened?" "You buried me alive," the figure hissed. "Not physically, but emotionally. The choices you've made, they have left scars etched in your soul. And for that, I remain, inseparable from your fate." The newcomer staggered backward, grappling with the enormity of the truth. Their heart thundered, pounding against their chest like a warning drum. "No, I don't want this. I didn't mean to hurt you. Can't we change the past?" "Change?" The figure leaned in closer, their voice sharpening like glass. "You have to face what you wish to forget. Pain is the only path to freedom. You must decide if you'll confront your demons or run into another abyss." With those words, time began to stretch thin, the shadows swirling violently with anticipation. The alley began to crackle with energy, merging past and present into a solid structure, the weight of choices spiraling above them like a storm. Would they face the embodiment of their unresolved conflicts? The familiar gaze locked on them, heavy with memories, and they felt the walls closing in like a cage. "Do it," the specter urged. "Face me, embrace the truth, and perhaps you will escape this place." They stood frozen at the crossroads of their own torment, past or future. The shadows waited, restless and hungry, ready to consume whichever path they chose. The figure extended a hand, a bridge between realms, urging them closer to the secret depths of their own heart, and as the shadows closed in, a shattering realization struck. The choice was theirs alone to make. Would they seize the truth, or cling to the safety of silence? The air was thick with uncertainty, and every heartbeat felt like the clang of a bell tolling doom. What lay ahead? Would freedom lie in acceptance, or was this yet another destructive cycle waiting to ensnare them? The figure's hand hovered in the dim light, and the shadows seemed to breathe in sync with the newcomer's frantic heartbeat. It was as if the very air thickened, dripping with anticipation and unresolved pain. Would they reach out and take the hand offered, or would they allow the shadows to pull them into another abyss of regret? Time waits for no one, the figure whispered, voice laced with a haunting urgency. Embrace the pain, and let it shape you. Sweat beaded on their forehead. Dread clawed at their insides, twisting tighter with every passing second. All the ghosts of choices unmade, words unsaid, every moment of silence that screamed louder than any regret echoed in their mind. I can't face what I've done, they stammered, backed against the slick wall of the alley. The figure withdrew slightly, shadows swirling around them like an angry storm. You can't evade it forever. Each step back only tightens the chains dragging you into darkness. With a grunt, the newcomers slammed their fists against their thighs, grounding themselves against the rising tide of dread. What if I don't want to know? What if the truth is worse than I can bear? A soft laugh escaped the figure's lips, sending shivers down their spine. Truth is a merciless friend. It will hurt, but it will also illuminate. There's a reason you feel trapped. The shadows danced, and with them, flickers of long-buried memories struggled to surface. Faces, laughter, even sweet moments turned bitter decorated their mind like a tragic mural. Maybe, the newcomer started, fingers trembling as they stepped forward. Maybe I need to know. But what if I lose everything I am? Everything I hope to be? Change is uncomfortable. Resistance brings suffering, the figure replied, voice steady like a distant drum. Only facing the past can set you free. Only then will you find who you truly are. In a moment of clarity, one where light flickered defiantly against the heavy darkness, they took a deep breath and reached out. As their fingers brushed against the specter's cold skin, a spark erupted intense and blinding. Memories bombarded them, washing over like relentless waves, flashes of a past long buried enveloped them. The laughter from the little house on Maple Street, the warmth of the sun on summer days, and the heavy burden of betrayal. Faces morphed into one another, each a piece of the puzzle they had tried so hard to forget. Each whispered promise and concealed truth came rushing back, flooding their senses. Face me, the specter commanded. Look at what you've been running from. In that moment, the newcomer's heart raced, a maze of emotions knotted inside them. The specter's expression shifted, melding empathy with ancient sorrow. They could feel the shadows pressing closer, angry at being denied. I never wanted you to suffer, they finally choked out, tears pooling in their eyes. I thought I was protecting you. But the figure's gaze hardened, morphing into a mixture of understanding and disdain. But in your protection, you buried me, left me to rot in the hidden corners of your soul. Now I am all you have left, and you can't escape without confronting what lies before you. The neon flicker of despair washed over the newcomer, a moment's doubt creeping in. Just then, the walls of the alley reverberated with a deep rumbling, as if the very foundation sensed the struggle within. The shadows hissed like vipers ready to strike, time twisted again, the alley expanding infinitely, presenting a fork. One path shimmered with a warm glow, hope flickering above, the other, a chasm of shadows promising safety in ignorance. Choose. The figure's voice cut through, commanding and desperate. Face the truth or remain as you are forever trapped in the abyss of your own making. The ultimatum struck hard, leaving little room for doubt. The newcomer teetered at the edge, heart racing, mind swirling, caught between the agony of truth and the allure of oblivion. And just before the moment split into decision, a scream ripped through the air. Someone was in danger. What awaited at the end of that scream? Freedom or fatality? The scream sliced through the air like glass breaking. It echoed off the brick walls of the alley, sending the shadows into a frenzy. The figure recoiled momentarily, and the specter's grip loosened. A surge of panic coursed through the newcomer. What was that? They strained to listen, eyes wide, heart pounding. Do you hear it? The figure hissed, urgency snapping through their tone. This is your moment. The choice is now: face your truth or run toward the shadows. But the scream, it calls for you. With one last look at the glimmering path of light, the newcomer turned toward the source of the scream. Each step felt heavy, as if the air itself resisted the choice. The shadows seemed to cling to their heels, whispering doubts and fears, tugging at their resolve. Emerging from the alley, they found themselves in a bustling street. The warmth of city lights blinked against the dark, an oasis of noise, laughter, and danger. At the end of the block, a small crowd had gathered around a figure on the ground. The wailing came from a woman, crouched beside a man who lay sprawled out, motionless. A chill gripped the newcomer. What happened? They pressed forward, heart racing. The shadows shifted behind them, conflicted, as if they were alive. They saw a flicker of recognition. The man's face was etched with memories, an echo of a moment they had long buried. No. Please, somebody. The woman cried, her voice cracking. Help him. The newcomer felt the weight of indecision. The warmth of the light was fading, and the path into the depths of despair beckoned temptingly. But something in their chest tightened, a voice urging them to act. Call 911. They shouted, pushing through the crowd. Breathless, they knelt beside the man, examining him. A dark stain spread across his shirt. Panic blinded them, but they forced themselves to focus. They reached for the man's wrist, trembling fingers searching for a pulse. Nothing. Cold seeped into their bones, and they glanced over to the woman, her face twisted in terror. He needs help. He. The words caught in their throat, choked by guilt and dread. Please, just tell me he is going to be okay. She sobbed, clutching at their arm, desperation etched into her features. In that moment, the spectre's warnings echoed. Choices shaped worlds. They could either succumb to the wave of fear or reach down into the depths of empathy they had tried to suppress. Every regret, every hidden truth, surged like a tidal wave. Stay with him. The newcomer turned back to the man, willing energy to flow from their fingertips. Please, don't leave us now. The crowd murmured, eyes wide and horrified at the unfolding scene. But as voices rose in panic, the shadows loomed larger. The weight of their decisions shifted, the specter waiting just beyond their reach, lips curling into an unreadable expression. Can you face what you've done? It taunted, the air thickening. Will your past remain buried? Or will you fight for this life, this moment? The sirens wailed in the distance, but time felt suspended in that heartbeat of uncertainty. Would they turn away and retreat into the shadows of their past? Or would they stand firm, risking everything for this man, for that woman's hope? Suddenly, the man's eyes fluttered open, but not with life, they were filled with something much darker. Help me. He rasped, voice strained, a cry from the depths of despair. As dread twisted in their gut, the newcomer felt the shadows pulsing with fury, each heartbeat a reminder of unresolved choices. They faced the man, a burning desire to save mingled with paralyzing fear. In the chaos, one final truth loomed: the decision to fight was now or never. Would they become the hero in another story, or would self-preservation pull them into the choking darkness once more? The ground beneath them shook, and the shadows surrounded them, tightening their hold. The moment stretched, and a storm of choices loomed ahead. What revelation would emerge from the depths of that moment? The crowd gasped as the man's eyes locked onto the newcomer, the darkness within them swirling like a storm. Help me, he rasped, his breath shallow, echoing an impossible plea. Each syllable tore at the newcomer's resolve, their heart thundering in their chest, torn between the ties of past duty and the unbearable pressure of this present moment. The ambulance is coming. Hold on. They shouted, but the man's gaze intensified, the hint of desperation sharpened into something almost feral. Shadows writhed behind them, relentless voices whispering doubts that clawed at their mind. What if it's too late? What if you can't save him? No. The newcomer gritted their teeth against the disheartening thoughts. They leaned closer, grounding themselves in the man's fearful expression. Stay with us, you're not alone. What is your name? Can you tell me? Daniel, he breathed out, The name was barely a whisper, yet it hung in the air like a dagger, pressing against the heart of the newcomer. This was it. There was no choice anymore. Daniel. Listen to me. We're getting you help. Just hold on. They looked around at the crowd, the eyes staring wide with expectancy and horror now began to shimmer with fractured hope. Someone was pulling out a phone, dialing, frantically gesturing for calm. The woman beside Daniel was silent now, her face a canvas of despair, but determination flickered somewhere behind her tears. They had to fight against the shadows wrapping around them, had to bring Daniel back, even if it meant confronting the haunting past, the guilt they wished would disappear. Hold on, Daniel. The newcomer pressed their palms against his as if their warmth could reignite the flicker of life they felt fading away. You're going to make it. You just have to fight. But the shadows grew heavier, defiant, like an invading army seeking to claim the boy they once knew. In that moment of desperate focus, something stirred deep within as a familiar name crossed their lips without thought. Sophia. At the mere sound of her name, the darkness rippled, curling sharp edges into the air around them. A wave of emotion surged through, unearthing buried memories, the kind filled with laughter, warm afternoons, and a bright-eyed girl whose smile had lit their world. The spectre swirled closer, its form shifting uneasily amidst the upheaval. What was that? Daniel's voice was a strain. Who? You know her too, the newcomer urged, willing the memories to spiral back. Sophia, she wouldn't let you go. You can't leave her, Daniel. You have to fight. The man's breath fractured, but understanding flickered in his cloudy gaze. I can't. Suddenly, everything shifted. The crowd blurred into the background, fading into the ambient noise of sirens and gasps, but the newcomer felt the tremor of something real. The spectre loomed, commanding, and in that moment, the newcomer faced it. Enough! They shouted, pushing against the weight of despair. You don't control this. And then Daniel's hand squeezed theirs, a jolt of life coursing through the tenuous connection. The shadows recoiled momentarily as light surged from within, driving back the darkness. A powerful realization struck, illuminating every corner of doubt. The battle was not just to save Daniel, but to claim their own truth, to refuse to remain shackled by grief. Stay with me, Daniel. They shouted again, their voice trembling with fierce determination, a rallying cry against the spectre's creeping power. But just as the ambulance sirens blared closer, the shadows surged again, converging on Daniel's fading form as whispers morphed into shrieks. The moment condensed into a choice: would they stand firm and face this darkness, or fall back into the empty echoes of their past once more? The ground trembled profoundly, and the air thickened with a palpable tension. Would this battle for Daniel's life be the ultimate turning point, where they finally faced their own demons? As the shadows closed in, a chilling voice rang out from the fray. You think you can save him? Do you even understand what you're up against? What lay beyond that taunting question, life or everlasting despair? The shadows pulsed ominously, dark fingers creeping closer around Daniel's body, as the newcomer trembled at the precipice of despair. Each whisper grew louder, feeding off their fear and uncertainty. They felt like they were drowning, yet every ounce of instinct shouted to fight. Daniel's breath was shallow, a faint flicker of light within a storm of shadows. Fight for him, they shouted, voice breaking yet resolute. Fight with me. Suddenly, clarity washed over them like the first light breaking through a dawn after the longest night. They could feel Sophia's spirit, warm and comforting, a reminder of everything beautiful hidden in their heart. It all came rushing back, every joyful moment spent in laughter, every time they brushed against the edge of grief and realized there was still light to grasp. Remember Sophia. They urged, their fingers intertwined with Daniel's. Remember who you are. You are not just memories, you are love, life, and light. With those words, the shadows hissed, recoiling from the truth radiating between the two souls. The echoes shifted from hopelessness into something shinier. Hope began to shimmer in Daniel's fading eyes as the essence of long-forgotten joy pulled them back from the brink. I want to let you go. The newcomer declared fiercely. You must stay. You matter. Daniel blinked, panic fading just a touch as a hint of recognition sparkled in the depths of his glaze. Sophia, I do want to see her. Please help me stay. The strangling shadows swirled, furious that their hold was slipping. Yet, the newfound warmth, the recollection of love, began weaving a thread of fragile light through the darkness. The darkness writhed, uncertain now, every wail and shout lighting up corners of their own heart long left in shadow. And then, almost instinctively, the newcomer channeled the very essence of their own fears and regrets. With each pulse of their heart, they recalled every moment of pain, every lost opportunity, and breathed it into the promise to piece the shattered past together. They faced the specter of regret straight on, their voice ringing out across the chaos. You have no power here. I choose life. Their declaration resonated through the alley, stirring the darkness into momentary silence. The specter screeched, the shadows curling violently away from the emerging warmth that surged through the crowd. As sirens drew near, hope brewed fiercely within, blending seamlessly with determination. The newcomer squeezed Daniel's hand, willing every fragment of light to fill the hollow spaces of despair. With every heartbeat, the dark threat waned, as new energy colored the air with possibility. I will not lose you this time. They cried, eyes gleaming with fierce love. You and Sophia will be together. We will face this. We will overcome. In that moment of clarity, Daniel's energy surged back, a flicker igniting into flames, the shadows shivered at the visceral truth unfolding. It was a magic born of connection, of love and acceptance, the very essence of what had been lost and was now reclaimed. With one last breath, the darkness screamed, dissolving into whispers, washing away like grains of sand. And as it receded, the newcomer felt their heart bloom with fierce clarity. The pains of the past, long hidden under layers of love and loss, transformed into understanding and the power of choice. Daniel stirred, eyes opening wide, body breaking free. I'm here. He gasped, voice returning stronger now, filled with life and spirit. A sigh of relief swept through the crowd as the paramedics finally arrived, rushing in with urgency, the specter banished by the light of connection that surged between the newcomer and Daniel. In the chaos, the woman at his side grasped the newcomer's wrist, eyes filled with gratitude and awe. You did it. You saved him. Relief washed over the newcomer, settling in their bones like a soothing balm. They beamed, knowing they had traversed through the abyss, through shadows of self, into the light of self-acceptance and love. As the paramedics worked, hope flickered brighter, illuminating the hollow places in their chest. They had confronted the darkness and lived to tell the tale, their heart now at peace with the choices made. The sirens became a hymn of renewal, unraveling the night's chaos and ushering the dawn of a new beginning. Daniel, we'll make it through this, the newcomer whispered, feeling the power of their redemption pulse through every corner of their heart. As the world around them began to shift back to normalcy, new energy crackled between souls. Light broke through dark as they stood united against every shadow of the past. With love engraved in their hearts, they took a deep breath in, embracing the power of every choice made, every soul touched. The journey had transformed them, solidifying the truth, they were no longer trapped by what had once haunted them. Only newfound strength and resilience remained, a promise of brighter days to come. And you know what? The story doesn't stop here. You need to subscribe now to catch every pulse of this journey, every twist and turn still to come. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the stories alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light and love together.